All right, now that I've gone ahead and highlighted and pushed back a lot of my hot spots, I'm gonna throw a couple more tones in there. Me personally, I like to just toss them in just to get my tones going before I get real definite with them. So on this particular tone, I see a little bit of the olive around the eye, so I'm gonna drop in a little bit of the moss green, the detail moss green. So I start pushing my tones out of my shadows. And I'm just doing a really light wash on it. Like I said, I don't want to saturate it. I only see it in a few areas, so I'm not going to do a complete wash on the color. I'm not going to adjust the whole thing. It's very, very subtle too. I see a little bit of it in the teeth. So before I start bringing in my my highlights and stuff, I'm just gonna do a real subtle. You might not even be able to see it on camera, but just a real subtle wash of it, just to tone it just a little bit from that white. That'll also give me the ability to come back and really throw a strong highlight in there. And after I get done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and move into my darker tone of the browns, start pulling out some of my detail and a little bit more of my shadows. So I'm gonna finish this up here. All right, now that I'm finished doing the green, I'm gonna move on to my burnt umber, the detail burnt umber, because now I'm gonna start moving out of my shadows, start pulling in a little bit more of the darker, the deeper creases in the face, and just start creating some depth with it. Now that I brought the highlights out, now that you go from the super lights to the really darks, just coming out of your shadows, it's going to start pulling a lot of depth to it. So let's get to spraying. And again, I'm on a 50-50 reducer, because I still want to have the ability to do really fine washes, fine light tones to it. As far as my pressure, I think I'm staying around in between 15 to 20. My pressure will vary depending on my reduction. A higher reduction on the paint will usually call for a lower pressure, because you run with a high pressure on really reduced paint and it's gonna blow out on you so quick. As you see, I'm creating a lot of detail as I'm going. This is where your patience really come into play. I'm utilizing some of the side casting of the overspray along with creating texture. So I'm gonna go ahead and just continue on with the darker color and create a lot of texture to it. So. All right, continuing on with the darker tone. I'm gonna go ahead and jump from here. I'm gonna jump over this hot spot and go ahead and move into the crease of the nose and start pulling some depth in through there. So, paint. Always pay attention to your contours. Can't stress that enough. And what I like to do is once I start pushing my shadows in, I'll go ahead and I'll go back and forth. Sometimes if I get a little bit too washed out on my highlights, I'll go ahead and grab my my eraser and bring back some of my lights just to save my super white highlights. Sometimes that overspray will kind of bury it a little bit, but two birds in one stone, you're creating a little bit more texture also. I'm just tapping it. Just tapping, happy little erasure. And keep it moving on the dark.